In case anyone was still under the illusion that Alberta's government had joined the 21st century, they've unequivocally cleared that up. No, they haven't. They're still clutching colonial frameworks like it's 1867, especially where Indigenous rights are concerned. Earlier this month, the UCP government shot down an amendment to Bill 50, proposed by Brooks Arcand-Paul of the NDP, that would have given members of the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation the right to vote in municipal elections. Here's the situation. Athabasca Chippewa First Nation members live on reserved land, smack dab in the middle of Wood Buffalo. They use the roads. They depend on emergency services. They pay into the system through fuel taxes and consumer spending. They even follow the local bylaws. But when it's time to actually choose the people making the rules, they're excluded. It's the classic pay up, play by the rules, but stay silent arrangement they've been living with for 100 years. All the responsibilities of a resident, but none of the rights. Why? Because reserves are technically under federal jurisdiction, and Alberta's Local Authorities Election Act, conveniently, doesn't cover their residents. It's a bureaucratic loophole, one the UCP could have closed with Bill 50. They looked at the lock, held the key in their hands, but chose to vote no. This isn't some dusty relic of outdated policy. It's alive and active and intentional disenfranchisement, dressed up as legislative procedure. Plain and simple. And much like Danielle Smith's $280,000 red carpet, it's unnecessary and ugly. Former Municipal Affairs Minister Rick McIver, now Speaker of the Legislature, defended the decision by invoking consistency, claiming that all residents on federal land are excluded. But let's be real. Who actually lives on federal land in Alberta besides Indigenous people? Oh, right! Military bases are also federal land. So by McIver's logic, soldiers and their families living on base must also be barred from voting in municipal elections, right? Wrong. They're not. The system happily accommodates them with flexible residency rules, mail-in ballots, and whatever else it takes to make sure their vote counts. McIver sure has an odd definition of consistency. This isn't about legal symmetry. It's about preserving a system that keeps Indigenous communities shut out while pretending it's all fair and balanced. Slapping a neutral label on a policy that exclusively disenfranchises Indigenous people doesn't make it equitable. It just buries the bias behind layers of bureaucratic bullshit and hopes no one notices the stink. Let's be clear. This proposed amendment wasn't asking for special treatment. It was asking for equal footing, equal say, basic civic participation. Saskatchewan and British Columbia already allow First Nations reserve residents to vote in local elections if they live within municipal boundaries. Alberta could, and should, do the same. The legal tools are sitting right there, but the UCP won't. Not because they can't, because they don't want to. And here's what makes the situation even more hypocritical, if that's possible. Premier Danielle Smith claims that Bills 50 and 54 are all about giving Albertans more electoral power, even on something as contentious as provincial sovereignty. She is suddenly all about letting the people decide. Unless, of course, those people are Indigenous and asking for something as wild as a local ballot. Apparently, power to the people comes with exclusions. If Alberta's government is serious about reconciliation, it sure has a funny way of showing it. They're not about inclusion. They're about control, spin, and keeping Indigenous participation safely symbolic. Indigenous people get invited to the table only when there's a ribbon to cut or a resource to extract. But give them a ballot, let them vote for the officials making the rules they have to live under. Well, that's apparently asking too much, according to the UCP. It is 2025. There are no excuses left. Alberta's refusal to extend voting rights to Indigenous residents isn't a glitch in the system. It is the system, an outdated colonial racist system working exactly as it was designed to. And, interestingly enough, a current argument by Alberta separatists is that Indigenous people would be treated better under an independent, sovereign Alberta, better than the federal government treats them. Really, Alberta won't even let them vote.